am joined by a very special guest tonight, a man from a team I cover very closely, or formerly from a team I cover very closely, Chizi Umunakwe, a rookie who was recently with the Ottawa Redblacks, but is currently a free agent, open to his next opportunity in football. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you on. I know you've got an interesting story, so I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into it here. Normally, I wouldn't go so far back, but you're a rookie, so there's a lot to talk about that's before your professional career. So I wanted to go back to high school, which I thought was kind of interesting. You ended up being selected as an offensive MVP, and prior to that, you rushed for 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns, and you also ran track. Yet when you hit college, you ended up on the defensive side of the ball playing linebacker, which I just to this moment, I'm so confused by how this happened. So can you kind of walk us through how you went from an amazing running back to an amazing linebacker?
Yeah, so all my career and throughout high school, I played both ways. So I played running back. I really started out playing like slot receiver slash running back. I would just run jet sweeps and just score. My first year ever playing football. Once I got to my senior year, I was actually playing defensive end, and I was the second string running back. So I was even when I rushed for 1,000 yards at JFK, I wasn't even the first string running back. I was the backup running back, where they had me just coming off the edge and just making plays off the edge just because I had speed off the edge. And then once I got to Trinity Pauling, I did a post grad year at Trinity Pauling. Towson University. It was UConn and Towson University. They were recruiting me, and they were the ones that suggested I go prep for extra year, ball out there, and then they'll pick me up from there. So when I got to TP, I was the starting tailback, and I was also playing the Sam linebacker slash safety in certain packages. I love defense. I love playing in space. I love coming off the edge. I love guarding slot receivers because when they see a guy like me, the way I'm built, they think I'm stiff or I'm not fast enough to keep up with them. So I like to give them that illusion, and then once they try to come shake and bake, I get my hands on, and then I mean, you can see it in my film. I'll just strap them up. And then playing running back, my quarterback was Raymond Davis. He plays for a university in Kentucky right now. He's going crazy this year. Definitely a potential draft pick. But yeah, we were like a three-headed monster. That's what they called us because we ran a triple option. So I'm running the dive. If once I get the ball, I'm downhill, just hitting the hole. If I don't get the ball, he's pulling it. He's taking off the edge. If not, we had Dante Williams. He plays at Merrimack right now. He's running the option. So it's either I get the ball, which I'm a threat, or our quarterback is taking the ball. He's a 4-4 threat, or Dante Williams is coming on the pitch. So they literally couldn't stop our offense, and that was very fun. But I think I got recruited to play defense just because of my speed off the edge, and my aggression. Like defense is it's a mentality thing. A lot of people play football, but not a lot of people really like to tackle or really like to hit. So I guess when the Towson coaches, I was recruited by Coach Tricario at Towson. So I guess he just liked what he saw more on the defensive side. The one school that was recruiting me for running back was Villanova, but I ended up committing early to I committed early to Towson because they were my first offer uh, post my MVP season at Trinity Pauling. They offered me, and then literally I think 3 days later, URI offered me, but Towson, they really wanted me bad. They recruited me through when I was at JFK, and they followed me along to Trinity Pauling, so I kind of felt a sense of loyalty there. And when I went on a visit, I had a great visit with them, and I knew they were recruiting me for linebacker. But when I did get there, Coach Rob Ambrose, he was the head coach at the time, and we spoke. I was like, "Hey, Coach, I know you see my running back film. Like, once I get this linebacker, because I never really played middle linebacker my entire career, and honestly, when I was getting recruited, I thought they were recruiting me for outside linebacker. Which when after I had left Towson, I told the coach to carry, and he was like, "Yeah, that's what I was bringing you in for as an outside linebacker, but they just decided to put you in the middle." He said that was out of my decision. He said I wanted you to come in and play right away at outside. But yeah, where was I going with this? Yeah, so I played. I guess they just recruited me for defense just because of just my speed off the edge. You know, I had a bunch of sacks, strip sacks coming off the edge, and a lot of TFLs. And my running back film definitely, it looked good because the speed I had from my track prior to going to TP. So, yeah, I think it was just the level of physicality that I played with coming off the edge and just the way I tackled other players. I think that's really what stood out to them the most. But the one school that did, they were recruiting me for running back was Villanova.
Interesting to see how that all kind of fell down for you in terms of where you committed, who wanted you to play what positions. Because honestly, like I told you off camera, I watched your running back film, and honestly, everything I saw, you could have easily played running back in college. There's
Yeah,
no doubt in my mind. I mean, you literally, there were so many highlights of you hitting a hole and just boom, you were gone for 40, 50-yard touchdown. And I'm like, man, what happened here? Why is he playing linebacker? Not that it's a bad thing because obviously you're amazing at linebacker. It's just it was kind of shocking after seeing the film is all.
yeah.
But anyway, you end up at Towson. What was your experience like at Towson?
I had a great experience at Towson when I got there. I was one of two freshmen out of our entire freshman class that played as a freshman. It was me and my roommate Jamal Gay. He was a safety. I think he came from Saint Cadet, a prep school in Maryland. So we were the only two freshmen in our class that played. I played all special teams. I was on kickoff and kickoff return on special teams. Yeah, that's what I played as a freshman, and occasionally they'll put me. I'll be back up on punt. Somebody goes down, I'll rotate in on punt and punt return occasionally. But yeah, I just basically played special teams. From my understanding, they said I was the most physically ready because I did a post grad year, so that gave me a extra year. So coming in, I was about a buck 95, but you know, just the way I was built, and I had my track background. I remember coming in, I thought I felt like I was the fastest defensive player on the field. I literally just because I also ran track my last year at Trinity Poland right before going to Towson, so that's why I came in a buck 95, just blazing speed. And when I got there, I put on some weight and just had the it was a great startup career, honestly.
Absolutely. If correct me if I'm wrong, but you were like a 4.4 guy coming out of high school,
Yeah,
weighing 195, right?
yeah, I
So
was.
definitely have that requisite athletic ability to play that kind of rover linebacker position, kind of
Yeah,
hybrid safety spot,
yeah,
which is kind of really what a lot of the CFL linebackers are if you really look at it on the surface there. But
for sure.
getting back to your time in college, you spoke about it just a moment ago. You enter school, you're at 6 foot, 195 pounds. The very next year you come in, you're 225 pounds. I mean, how are you able to add so much weight in like a positive manner while also not really sacrificing any of your speed? I mean, you didn't look a step slower at all on film.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because that was the one thing that was in the back of my mind when I came to Towson was I was like, I'm not trying to be 225 because I'm like, my mentality was, and that's what I've been coached, is speed kills. So that's why I ran track and that's why I took track so seriously because I knew at the next level, especially college and NFL, they want guys that look like me but who can move and who can run four five speed. So I'm like, yeah, I know me and the strength and conditioning we kind of bump heads a little bit when I was a freshman because I came in a vegetarian actually. So I was like, yeah, I don't eat meat. My whole year at my prep school, I was just a vegetarian. I was just against just trying to live a healthier lifestyle and not eating meat. And he would just be like, dude, you're not gonna play at this level at 195. Like, I don't care what you say. Like, you have to gain weight. You got to put on weight if you're gonna play linebacker for us in this CAA conference. So, after a while, I listened, kind of gave in. My thing was I wasn't trying to get too bulky and stiff and not be able to move because that's gonna take away from my playing style. But it's like they say, you gotta trust the process. So every day I work my ass off. We lifting. I'm a weight room guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't shy away from getting after it. So every day I'm noticing myself. I'm getting bigger, stronger, But what I noticed was I was actually getting faster because in that spring we had we had laser timers, and we would time our 10-yard dash and 20. We never ran any 40s, but we always time our 10 and our 20s. And I noticed my times, I was getting bigger, but I think he said the harder the ground contact you have, the faster you're gonna go. So the fact that I was able to put on weight, I was more explosive coming in terms of applying force to the ground and just pushing off. So as I was gaining weight, I was just gaining more muscle. My body fat percentage was dropping as I was gaining weight. So I was like, okay, so he's onto something, like I can trust him. So I just bought in. That the spring I'll finish. Like you said, I came in 195. By springtime, I was 225, flying around. I felt great. I looked insane. Like just seeing the pictures when I came in as a freshman to as a freshman in the fall to a freshman in the spring, I was like, okay, like that freshman 15 came, but it was more like a freshman 25, 30 because I did put on the weight, and it worked out. I just trust the process, worked hard, and like I said, I noticed myself as I was getting bigger, stronger, I was also getting faster. So I just stuck with it.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, it shows up on film. And like you said, you're a weight room guy, which also shows up. We were going to talk about this a little later, and we will. But you put up 27 reps at 225 pounds in the bench press for your pro day, which is unheard of. That's like really big defensive line and sometimes offensive line numbers. I mean, you don't see a whole lot of guys that are under 250 putting up that kind of reps on the 225. So that was impressive. Then on top of that, you had like a 35-inch vertical, a 4.6540. I mean, like everything you did that day, despite the fact that, if correct me if I'm wrong, was a hamstring that you tweaked that day.
Yeah,
So you weren't
literally.
even running full speed necessarily,
Well, I
and you still
wasn't.
put up numbers that were NFL caliber numbers, in my opinion. So just an unbelievable performance. Just kind of shows the kind of athlete you are, and to be quite honest, that's part of the reason why I'm such a big fan of you as a player, because that hybrid linebacker safety spot has kind of always fascinated me with the guys who are able to do it and do it well, and you're one of them. And to be quite honest, I'm not quite sure why you're a free agent at the moment, but I'm sure that'll change very quickly.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that, man. Thank you, honestly.
Absolutely. So backing up a little bit back, we'll get back to your college career. In 2019, you seem to see a lot more playing time on defense. I mean, it basically looked like you made the transition from what you were doing in high school to being a college linebacker, and the team rewarded you for it in a manner because you were starting to play a lot more. You had a lot bigger role. Um, when it came to that, were there any coaches in particular that helped you make that leap outside of the strength and conditioning coach you mentioned moment ago?
Yeah, definitely shout out to because we had a whole change in the defensive staff where we brought in Coach Eric Daniels. He was a back in his day, I think he played linebacker for Baylor. So he was just a big Texas dude who I looked up to because I'm like, yo, this guy is huge. Like he's got my respect just off his physique. And then when he talked, he just took charge of the room. And I loved his defense because when I came in uh, at Towson as a freshman, I wasn't able to get down to the defense as fast as they wanted me to. So that's why I mostly played special teams. But once we had a new defensive coordinator, that old defense was gone, and we had a new defense, and I fell in love with that defense. It was a fire zone defense, a lot of man, a lot of blitzing, and that's my playing style. I just love coming downhill and just hitting the hole before the running back could get a chance to get going, getting after the quarterback, and just I'm a downhill. I I mean I have sideline to sideline speed, which you can see, but I also just love coming downhill and just making a mess. So when he incorporated that new defense, it just fit my playing style more. And I think that I believe it was that spring. I had a great spring leading into a great fall camp, and that's what helped me increase my role on the team. From there, I was playing all special teams. I was on all special teams that year, and I was basically like the 12th man off the bench, rotating at middle linebacker behind my teammate Christian Dixon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Interesting to see how that all worked out for you. And then, as we know, in 2020, everyone was faced with the global pandemic, and it kind of shut everybody and everything down for like a year's time. Um, During this year, kind of away from football, did it answer any questions for what you might do someday when your playing career ultimately ends?
Yeah, it definitely did give me some clarity because honestly, I started playing football in 2016, and kind of football just became who I was and just a part of my world. To where, being a kid from the Bronx, New York, New York is known for basketball. So if you make it out of New York for football, everyone's gonna know about you. So I became, Chiz, the football player who went D1, because that's a big accomplishment to make it out of the Bronx and go play college football at a Division 1 level. So when football was taken away from me in 2020, I kind of went through an identity crisis, which I'm sure a lot of other athletes could relate to, where, I kind of was just in my own head, like, I had to take a step back and realize football is what I do. It's not who I am. I'm more than just a football player. And that honestly gave me peace of mind because I was going into my junior year, and my mindset was just, this has to be my breakout year. Like, this is when, I already had a good freshman year. Sophomore year, I increased in productivity. Now this year I'm about to start, and I have to take over to set up for a senior year campaign and, potentially get drafted. So I had it all planned out. So once the pandemic came, and I'm like, I literally just put in all this work this summer and I don't even have a season. It crushed me for a little bit, but I couldn't let it uh, keep me down for too long. I was able to meet some friends along the way who were into investing and trading and other stuff, which kind of, opened my horizon to, financial literacy outside of just playing football. So that definitely helped me in terms of ease my mind going forward for sure.
Yeah, I've actually heard that from a lot of athletes that were faced with that because I mean, you guys are young at this point. I mean, you're talking about a kid who's 19, 20, maybe 21 years old at that point. I mean, you're faced with what you had thought was going to be your livelihood just ripped away. I mean, a lot of us didn't have to go through that because we were deemed essential or whatever it may have been, but for athletes, it was like there was no question. I mean, most leagues shut down. The only one that stayed alive was the NFL. And to be quite honest, looking back, I'm not sure how they managed it
Yeah.
with everything, all the rules and laws in place at the time. But ultimately, it's got to be really challenging to be in that position as an athlete, have that taken away from you.
Yeah, for sure.
But in 2021, you ended up moving on to a new school. You're with Central Connecticut University now. Can I ask what ended up prompting that change for you?
Just it was just kind of just realizing I love Towson. I love my teammates there, love the coaching staff, loved everything about the school. But it was just more so during that 2020 period, just kind of coming to a realization like, yeah, I had a good time here, but for me to grow and become the person I needed to be, I needed a change of scenery. I kind of just needed a fresh start. So that was just my mindset there. Once one opportunity closes, another one is open. So that was just my mindset, and not saying like my opportunity at Towson was closed by any means, but it was just more so just understanding myself and just what I went through during 2020, to where like, I was just questioning myself, like, do I still want to play football? Like, where do I want to go with this? It was just, I just had too much time to think, and football was a release for me. You know what I'm saying? It was when I'm on the field, when I'm playing, like, as me just releasing all my problems, stress, and just having fun flying around. Like, that's what I know. Like, I just love sports. Like, going back to high school, I played basketball, football, I ran track, I did wrestling for a year. I threw the in track. I didn't just run track, I threw the javelin. I had the record for the farthest distance in javelin in New York State. My second year throwing the javelin, I literally taught myself how to throw the javelin. So, like, I just love sports. I like, being competitive. So during 2020, when I was just stagnant and not being able to do what I love, what I'm saying, it just made me. I was questioning, like, do I stay here? Do I go? And just talking to the man above, seeking clarity, that was the best decision for me, and it definitely did work out. So I'm grateful for my time at Towson, but I was also looking forward to what came next in the chap in my life.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, it looked like on paper anyway, you made the right decision. You ended up being paired with Ron DeGravio. I hope I pronounced that correctly, who
Yep.
was the defensive coordinator and linebackers coach there. So you worked very closely with him.
Yep.
In 11 games, you ended up racking up 3 sacks and 6 tackles for a loss, which was both career highs at the time. Um, what was it about this connection with DeGravio in your first season that helped you be so successful right away?
Yeah, so for one, him being Coach DeGravi, he's a great coach. You know, he's a great player coach, and he's had that defense in Central for a while, so he knows the ins and outs of defense. So working closely with him gave me the confidence to where I knew my role, and I knew coming in the mindset was I'm coming here to start. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't no ifs, ands, or buts. This was my junior year. I'm coming there to start. I'm coming there to make a name for myself in any seat and continue on my career. So I remember at Towson my freshman year. So after every year, we would talk to the head coach, and he would kind of break us down and tell us what we did good, what we want to improve on, and just kind of like a summary of what he thought of us. And when I had my meeting, he told me, he said, "Dude, you have like all the numbers to be an NFL line. Like you're a prototypical size, weight, speed for to play at the next level." He said your only weakness is you lack football IQ, because I started playing football my sophomore year of high school. That was the first time I ever played football, was my sophomore year of high school, and I just kind of just been working my butt off since to get to where I am right now. So when I got to college, having to understand the college playbook and the speed of the game, you know, I didn't pick it up as fast as they wanted me to. So that's why I said sophomore year when we had a new playbook, I knew what I had to do. You know what I'm saying? It was no games to be played. I studied my playbook. I knew what I had to do to help me get on the field as as I did. So when I made that transition from Towson to Central, that still stuck with me, was my weakness was my football IQ. So how can I constantly increase my football IQ to make myself a better player? I already know I'm big. I already know I'm strong. I already know I'm fast. Those are my strengths. But to be productive and dominant at the next level, it becomes mental. You know what I'm saying? So when I got to Central Connecticut and I got the new playbook, that literally, I believe it was after the first week of camp, Coach DeGravio, and I remember this like it was yesterday. Coach DeGravio, we had a meeting after all the linebackers left. He said, "Hey, Chiz, I need you to stick around for a little bit." So I sat down, and he's going over each calls on the defense that we installed in week one. He's like, "Okay, this play, what gap do you have?" I'm like, "A gap." Where are you dropping to? I got curl flat. Da da da. He goes, "What about this one? Spy quarterback." And I'm just giving him the answers like boom, boom, boom. And we went through week one's install. He goes, "Dude, I'm gonna be honest. Like," he said, "I've been here X amount." He says, for the way you picked up this defense, you only being here a week, like you haven't. He literally said you have an advanced understanding of this defense that it took most linebackers here a year and a half to get to where you are in your first week. So I took that as a compliment, because in the back of my mind, I was like, my first year at Towson, I lacked football IQ, so I made sure I understood this playbook just as much as the defensive coordinator, so we could build that trust. And when I'm out there, I know what I'm doing. And not to get ahead of myself, but fast forward to senior year, I took that to the next level, to where I didn't just know what I was doing. I knew because I played the weak side linebacker. We call it the backer. So I knew what the backer was doing, and I knew what the Mike was doing. But I also knew what my D lineman was doing. I knew what the corners were doing. I knew what the safeties behind me were doing. So if there was and I was captain of the defense my senior year. So if there was a bust in coverage or a gap that wasn't filled, I already knew, who it was and where they needed to be and where the correction needed to happen, before we even got to the sideline. So me and Coach DeGravio were like, okay, boom, this is what happened. Yeah, there was a point guard. The D lineman was supposed to spill it. Instead, he boxed it. Stuff like that, to where we just had an advanced understanding of the defense, and it just helped things go a lot more smoothly. So yeah, making that transition to Central Connecticut, I just knew I had to get this playbook down as fast as possible, so I can get on the field and be productive, because I was coming there to start and make a name for myself.
Gotcha. So, just out of curiosity, do you feel more comfortable playing that weak side linebacker, or are you more comfortable at middle linebacker at this point?
Shoot, that's a great question. Honestly, I couldn't even tell you. I feel like you put me at outside, you put me at inside, you put me at nickel, like wherever you need me to play, I will adjust and I would do that to the best of my ability. One, because I have the speed, I have the speed to cover any slot who who lines up against me. I know that for a fact. And middle linebacker. Because of my time at Central, I learned how to read flow. I could read inside zone, outside zone, pulling guard, pass, nowhere to drop into coverage, reading off the running back. Just all that just kept adding on to developing me as a football player and developing my IQ to where I'm like, dude, you plug me in wherever you need to plug me in on the defense, and I'm gonna pick it up and be able to dominate.
I could definitely see it. I mean, like we talked about before, you came out of high school as a defensive end. You played some outside linebacker, some inside linebacker.
Yeah.
Theoretically, I know your coach said that you wouldn't make it at 6 foot, 195 pounds, but I feel like you probably could have played strong safety.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
athletically, you had all the tools to do it. So
Yeah,
I wouldn't have.
like honestly, if I had to pick, I always say this, and I say that to I like my favorite season playing football was at Trinity Poland because of I was playing outside linebacker and safety. I love playing in space. You know what I'm saying? I love coming from depth and just hitting dudes. When you play middle linebacker, you gotta take on a pulling guard first. You gotta shed the block, then you know what I'm saying, make the tackle. And as a linebacker, you always got to be able to engage the O lineman. But knowing what I knew coming out of high school and my playing style, I knew like I love playing in space. I love playing outside linebacker, safety, just flying around and just yeah, just hitting people. And just I even if you watch my film, I even had an interception one on one guarding the slot. So like I love playing in space. Like I know I could be a ball hawk being if I was coached to do so. That's just it's just in me. So yeah, I do love playing in space, but at the same time, it's like whatever team I go on, whatever the defensive coordinator wants me to do for his defense, I'll do that to the best of my ability to help my team out. That's my mentality.
I love that answer. So we'll go ahead and go into your senior season, like you spoke about. It was an even better year than your junior year, which it's kind of hard to really understand how you were able to make such another large leap so quickly. But in second season, you played in 10 games. You had 94 tackles, 2 sacks, 10.5 tackles for a loss, and a forced fumble. And it seemed like you lived in the backfield in this season. I know that not every one of those plays amounted to a tackle for a loss or a sack, but you were always on the opposing line of scrimmage. So it was kind of interesting to see. But what was it about that season in particular that allowed you to kind of explode on the scene in this manner? Was it just everything coming together in terms of football IQ, like you spoke about?
Yeah, so I want to say it was just the mindset going in. I feel like I was on a different type of timing, a different frequency, a different. I just felt different going in. Like I remember finishing that 2021 season, that junior year. I felt like I had gotten second team all conference, and in my head, I was like, that was not the best version of me. Like, there's still more I could have done, and I'm getting second team all conference. So then I'm like, all right, this year, what are your goals? I said it. I said, I want to be defensive player of the year. I need first team all conference. I literally wrote all these goals down before the season started, and then and you go, it's funny because I reminisce with some of my teammates and we talk about it. It literally just felt like a movie the way everything just came together. But after that junior year season, I literally had to get surgery for my knee, so I missed spring ball. So it just had a chip on my shoulder because sometimes when you get surgery, especially it was my first ever surgery playing football, and it was a knee surgery. It was just a cleanup because I had cartilage floating around in my knee that was making it uncomfortable, and I had like a small plicature, so the doctor just went in there and just cleaned up my knee. So just coming off of surgery, seeing me in crutches and you know, uh, people in my mind, I'm like, I hope they're like not sleeping on me or they don't think I lost a step because that's just gonna light a fire under me if you think this surgery is gonna be like my downfall or my setback. So when I came back after rehabbing, I came back that summer. I came into the early summer session, and dude, I was just a man possessed. Like I was just on a mission. My first day, we had conditioning. We had conditioning, and I remember like it was yesterday. I lined up against Luque Washington. He plays edge, and he was our fastest linebacker. I'd say that. And I just lined up next to him my first day back. And mind you, I think they were there for a couple weeks prior. But I'm like, man, I'm ready to compete. So we were running wind sprints. I think we had about 10. I get to 7, and I just go to the sideline and I just start puking, like puking bad, like yo, like uh, I thought I was in shape because I was training while I was at home. But when you get with a team and you're competing against somebody next to you, it kicks it to the next gear. So we were just competing and just going hard, and I throw up, and they thought I was done. Wipe the throw up, line right back up next to him. I'm like, man, let's go. And that was just the mindset that entire summer. And I think that's honestly what led to me becoming a captain that year. Was just coming off that injury. The work that I put in that summer, it couldn't be denied. First one to show up, last one to leave, first one in the weight room. I was just on a different type of timing because it was my last year as a collegiate athlete, and I wanted to play at the next level. And I played at the NEC. I knew I wasn't at Alabama. I wasn't at a huge D1. So I said, if I want to make it out of this league, I got to stand out. I'm saying? I can't just be good. I got to be phenomenal. I'm saying? So that was just the mindset going in. I wrote down my goals. I worked my butt off, and it all just came together. And I prayed. I told God, this is what I wanted. This is what I want. This is how I'm going to do it. And I just kept my head down and I just kept working. I just took it a day at a time and just kept working. And it all just came together.
Absolutely, and I would be remiss if I didn't, mention the fact that you were a finalist for the Buck Buchanan Award and you won Defensive Player of the Year. So, I mean, after that, coming back from that injury and that surgery, what did it mean to you to win that Defensive Player of the Year award? I mean, you talked about writing down your goals. I mean,
Yeah,
that was manifestation in its finest.
like literally. And that was what, because I've never done that before in my life, like honestly. But that just coming off that injury that summer, I used to listen to a lot of podcasts, and there was I wish I could remember his name, but there was this dude I would listen to in podcasts, and he would always talk about business, but he would say write down your goals. You know what I'm saying? Put it put it up on your wall, so when you wake up, that's the first thing you see, and you get in that mindset. So every day I wake up, I looked at my goals and I saw how big they were, and I'm like, dude, if this is what you want to achieve, this is how hard you have to work, and you can't make any excuses. So it was just the consistency of it every day, just waking up, just grinding, and just going harder than before. And my mentality, not every time we break it down, I say, hey guys, we just got to get 1% better. You know what I'm saying? You can't look at the big picture down the road if you don't take care of today. So our goal today is to just get, even if you just get 1% better. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're getting better, you're constantly improving. It's all about consistency and discipline. Sometimes I always say, because when I was in high school in my freshman year, sophomore year of college, it was all about motivation for me. Like, oh, I'm so highly motivated. As long as I have motivation, I can do anything. But then COVID happened and I lost all motivation. That's when it hit me. I was like, it can't just be motivation. You need consistency and discipline. If you have consistency and discipline, when motivation falls, when you fall short with motivation, as long as you're consistent and you're disciplined, you'll find that motivation again. Because motivation, it comes and goes. But if you're consistent with your craft and you're disciplined, then you know what I'm saying, the sky is the limit. So that's just what it was that last year. Coming off the injury, I had a different mindset. I knew what I wanted. I knew how to achieve it, and I just had to work. So then week 1, I get 11 tackles against UConn. Week 2, I get like another 10 tackles against Sacred Heart. Week 3, we played against Southeast Louisiana. I think I had about 5 or 6 tackles. I didn't get to finish that game due to a minor injury, but I had about 5, 6 tackles before I went out. And then I came back off that, and I promise you the stat doesn't show it, but if you watch the game, I probably had like 20 plus tackles against Albany, because the way I was just flying around that field and I was just a man on a mission when we played Albany. I racked up a lot of tackles that game, and I just kept building from there. At one point, I was averaging 10.6 tackles a game, and I was leading the NEC in terms of overall tackles by double digits, compared to whoever was behind. And then I wasn't even going like checking the stats. It was people telling me like, yo, look at this. Da, da, da. They're sending it to me because I like winning, you know what I'm saying? In terms of wins and losses, we didn't have the record we wanted. So my mindset was just, man, how can we win? Like, yeah, I'm playing great, but I need everybody around me to be on that same type of time so we can win together. It wasn't about my individual stats. The hard work is going to show for itself, but I just wanted us to win. But I was playing phenomenal, and each week somebody was saying me like, yo, this is what they wrote about you. Oh, look how many tackles you had, da da da. And I was like, and then my boy John Lambert, I played together with him at Towson. We trained that summer, and he saw the work I put in. So when I was getting these accolades, he said, "Bro, we're not surprised because this is exactly what we talked about. We said this is what we're gonna do, and you put in the work. So don't be surprised that you're getting these accolades, that you're averaging double-digit tackles because you literally put in the work." So it came together, and that's why I was just like, that's the recipe for success. You just gotta outwork whoever is, what I'm saying, outwork everybody and just stay locked in, write your goals down, manifest it, and just, yeah.
I'm just being myself, cool as can be. When I'm being myself, you wish you were me. It's so easy. Get out your own way. It's just so easy.
Absolutely. Well, heading into the NFL draft, obviously, as you spoke about, you're coming out of a smaller school, Central Connecticut State. I mean, that's not the biggest school around, so
Mhm.
probably doesn't get very much NFL interest. But you went out, did your thing. You put up the 27 reps we talked about, the 35-inch vertical jump, the 4.65 40, and I gotta ask, I mean, after that performance? You had to have some buzz from NFL, CFL teams coming at you because these are impressive numbers. I mean, these are prototypical numbers like we talked about. So, I
Mhm.
mean, what was your agent telling you about your stock at the time?
Yeah, like literally, I remember coming in, the first thing was the bench press. I let everybody go. I had my trainer with me. Shout out to Diligence Training. Definitely great group of guys. Like honestly, they got me prepared, and I didn't go to the south to like a big time facility to do my pro day training because I still my mom, she's big on school. She said you still got to graduate college, and I still had about 3 classes left that I had to do. They were most of them were on, two of them were online and one of them was in person. So I had to be in Connecticut, and I had to take a Wednesday night class every Wednesday. So every morning I was doing my pro day training in Connecticut at DT, and yeah, we was just working our butt off. So he had connections to the UConn coaches, so they allowed him to come during my pro day. So he was literally like my mentor, right in my ear. Right before the bench press, he had me doing push-ups, had me doing band work, um, and the training we put in during the pro day, it definitely showed because we knew these are numbers we want, this is how we're gonna get it. Really, I wanted to get 30 on the bench press, and I honestly could have, but I was just so excited. If you'd have seen the video of me bench pressing, I was literally just throwing like I was just throwing it off my chest versus like they weren't really watching to see if you locked out. So my trainer, he was like, "Yo, don't lock out all the way. Just kind of like, what I'm saying, cheated a little bit so you can get more." But once I got under there, everybody's watching. Adrenaline just took over. I picked it up. It felt the lightest it's ever felt. I'm just like, I could go for 35. I get to, and then my agent, not my agent, my trainer, he's before, mind you, like I'm like the last person to go. So I think before me, the highest was 24, 25 by a offensive lineman. So when I get under it, my first one, my agent, not agent, my trainer, he starts counting down from 30. He goes 30, 29. People start looking at him like, yo, what is this dude talking about? But like, they didn't know, what I'm saying? He had that faith in me. He's like, that's the goal. So that's why I'm gonna start counting down. So he starts counting down from 30, 29, 28, 27. And I'm just repping it out. And the strength and conditioning coach, he's like, I get to 20, he's about to grab it, but I'm just throwing it up. He's like, yo, this guy's just going. And then I get to 25, starts throwing on 26, 27. And then I get to the 28, I get halfway. Hold it for a second. He just grabbed it. So yeah, but it was just the work we put in, showing up. And then after that, I dump a 35-inch vert. And then after I came out, I ran I had a tweak hamstring because while we were training for my for my pro day training, I was working with a track coach at Windsor High, Coach Kears, great guy, uh, absolutely great guy. and he was a speed coach. So he was the track coach there at Windsor High. And I remember we were running every week. We would run on the assault treadmill, the one where you power. And I remember the first time I did it, I hit 22 miles per hour. He's like, yo, if you hit 23 miles an hour on this treadmill, that's when we're talking about 4.4 speed. So the next week we come back, the first one I do, boom, 22.6. I'm like, yo, coach, I'm about to hit this 23. He's like, all right, bet, let me see you do it. So we recover, we come back on it, boom, he goes, start. So we push off with one leg. After 3 seconds, he hits because we're doing like 7-second intervals. So once he starts it, full speed, boom, boom, boom. I'm running. I see 22.6, 22.8. I'm like, come on, faster, faster. Boom, I hit 23.3 on the assault treadmill. As soon as I did it, I just hopped right off, started screaming. He's like, oh, you hit 23, didn't you? I was like, hell yeah. So yeah, we felt really good training. And then the following week, we came back. So what I didn't realize was how much strain it puts on your hamstring, because you're literally just powering it, pushing with your hamstrings the whole time. So I have huge hamstrings. So like, I don't notice when, they're fatigued or strained. So the next week when we came back, I did it the first time. I did it the second time, I hit another 23, and we had one more. It felt sore, but I was like, all right, last one, let's do it. So I started running. Then once I hit top speed and I'm starting to open up, I literally feel both my hamstrings cramp up, and then the right one just felt like a little tear, and I just shut it down for the day. And then from there and I think this was literally 2 weeks before my pro day, and I had a minor tear in my hamstring. So that was frustrating. That's when we had to like take a couple steps back and focus more on recovery in terms of that. So when I went to UConn, it definitely wasn't 100%, but I knew like, this is my pro day. I gotta do what I gotta do. So I ended up running a 4.6. I remember they said I pulled up at the 33, 34 yard, because that's when I kind of felt it tighten up, and I just ran through it for the 4.6. And I only ran it one time. I didn't want to run it again. But I remember after running the 4.6, my agent comes. He goes, okay, the Giants and the Jaguars are definitely interested. So like, you can just shut it down if you want. But just the competitive nature of me didn't let me shut it down. I was like, I worked my butt off to get here. Like, I'm gonna go through it. And I did the ball drills. I did the linebacker specific drills. I even went, after working out with the linebacker specific drills, my agent, he said, go work out with the D lineman and like run the rings. And actually, he said that that was my best thing of the day. Like the way I ran the bend, the speed, the angle. He just said that you look really good when you did that. He said, I think we found something you're really good at, which is coming off the edge, which is what I did back in Trinity Poland. So, but after that, the Jets were there too. They were interested. So that's how I was able to get a local day with the Jets and the Giants, which amazing facilities. I was able to go there and showcase my talents and leave a good impression on them.
I was not aware that you actually had a local tryout with both of them. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
One of the few things I guess I didn't find. But with that being said, you spent some time with the Chiefs as well, with Andy Reid, one of my favorite coaches. So what was your experience being with that program like? I mean, the Chiefs have become basically a dynasty over the last decade. So if you want to learn how to win, what better place to go as a rookie?
Yeah, honestly, just being there, being in that environment, being with Coach Andy Reid and all the amazing coaches there, I really saw why they win championships consistently, because of the work that they put in. Because those 3 days were probably the hardest 3 days of football I've experienced. Like being in Kansas City, Missouri, that heat, and we're practicing twice. We had practice twice a day. We have like kind of like a walk through jog pace practice the first time. Then we go get lunch, and then we come back, and we'll really crank it up for another 2 hours, where we do defense install, and then special teams at the end. It was just back to back, just practicing. And I remember like it was yesterday. Guys are walking off the field just like, like hamstrings tight, quads are tight. I'm just like, man, I can't wait to get in that cold tub. But yeah, they put us through it. But it was to see who would bend, break, or fold. And me coming, seeing how far I came, to be an opportunity, to be in that moment, to be an opportunity, I had to seize the moment. I had a lot of fun. I was definitely proud of myself. The fact that I was able to come there, pick up an NFL playbook the way I did. They had me playing the will linebacker, and I remember one play I almost had an interception. I had a pass breakup, but I really almost had an interception, and I was just having fun. I was like, man, I'm blessed to be here. Like, what an opportunity this is, you know. That was all that was going through my mind, and then just talking to, because there wasn't just rookies. There were guys who kind of were in the NFL on like different teams. I remember there was this dude named Buddy Johnson. He was a beast. Like he played at Texas A&M, and I was like, yeah, this is somebody I can sit behind and study and get better at by watching him. I was just excited to just be around so many talented guys, and just, you know what I'm saying, like, you are who you surround yourself with. So I like to be in that environment. Learn, you know, got to be on time to everything, take notes, you know what I'm saying, ask questions, just the little details it takes to be a winner, to be a champion. It was just all coming together, and I was able to leave a good impression on my rookie debut there.
Absolutely. I'm kind of curious. Do you know if there's any sort of standing relationship between the Red Blacks and the Chiefs? It seems like the Red Blacks sign a lot of Chiefs cuts.
I actually don't know. All I know was on the third day, my agent calls me. He goes, "How's it looking?" I said, "I mean, so far so good. Like, I feel pretty good about, you know, my time here." He's like, "All right, so tomorrow's the last day, so we're gonna see if they sign you or not. If they don't, you're gonna go up to the Ottawa Redblacks and get ready for their 3-day mini camp." And I'm like, man, I just finished a 3-day mini camp here. I gotta fly to Canada to like, that was not in the thought process at all. So he's like, yeah, you gotta get ready. If they don't sign you, you're going to Canada to try and earn a spot with the Ottawa Redblacks. So that was how I found out about that. But I was just like, all right, I got one more day. I gotta empty the tank, you know. And trust me when I say, guys were hurting. So that last day, we just had to push through, empty the tank, and I was still able to come out there, fly around, and, you know, impress the coaches there. So I was truly grateful for my experience there, because it did teach me a lot.
So you said that wasn't part of your mentality at the time. Had you guys ever discussed the fact that the CFL was a possibility, or was it just something that he kind of sprung on you? Hey, you have this interest from this team. We're going to check this out.
Yeah, it was like kind of like in the back burner. Like, we're trying to get you on an NFL roster, but if that doesn't happen, you might potentially go to the CFL, which is better than you just going home and just sitting on your butt, not doing nothing, waiting for a call that could come or could not come, or you could just continue playing football. I wanted to play football. I love playing football. I'm like, man, if this opportunity doesn't work out, like, I can't go home and feel sorry for myself and wait. I gotta get on that field, because at the end of the day, there's no better teacher than experience. And I notice each time I step on the field, each team I go on, each season I play, I get better through experience. So I was not gonna sit out a year and wait and not get better. I was like, you know, if opportunity presents itself, I'll go to Canada. But it wasn't like in the forefront. The forefront was, I'm here with the Kansas City Chiefs. Let me get signed and let me try to make this team. That was the mindset.
Absolutely. And I actually kind of just wanted to ask because I thought it was very commendable that you made that choice so fast, because a lot of times, like you mentioned, a lot of guys will go home and they'll sit at home for an opportunity for the NFL, and sometimes it won't come. And then you see them wait and you miss a whole season worth of playing time, and they could have been in the CFL or the XFL or the USFL. And to me, the players that to make that choice quick, and I know it's not as cut and dry as I'm about to make it sound, but to me, those are the guys that truly love the game, the ones that can't live without it. They need to be playing, and they understand that that's just a stepping stone to hopefully where they really want to be, which is obviously the NFL for everybody.
Yeah, I agree for sure. I feel like I'm one of those guys to where I was just like, if this opportunity doesn't work out and you tell me I have another opportunity with the CFL, mind you, I knew nothing about the CFL. Like, when I was going through My senior year at Central, there were a bunch of NFL scouts that came through and a couple CFL scouts. And when they would come through, my coach came. He goes, "Yo, the CFL team asked me like, would Chiz want to play in the CFL?" And I told him, I said, "Listen, man, I play wherever. Like, if there's an opportunity, like, I'm not gonna knock down the opportunity. Like, if you give me an opportunity to play, I'll play." So, yeah, obviously the goal, the dream is the NFL. But at the end of the day, I love the game. I love playing football. It's made me the man I am today. So, yeah.
I find that very respectable. I mean, honestly, like I said, I told you off camera, and I'll say it again here, but I hate to see great players sit on the sideline waiting for an opportunity that might never come. And quite honestly, it happens way too often because we haven't quite gotten to the point where the pay in the CFL, the XFL, the USFL is as high as say a practice squad spot. So a lot of
Yeah.
guys sometimes choose to wait it out because of that, which is very understandable. I mean, I don't knock anybody for their choices. It's just it's very sad as a fan to know that there's amazing players that are just sitting on the sidelines when they could be playing.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we mentioned earlier, and I wanted to circle back to, is the fact that you actually got your start, or you were more well known at the time as a running back. And has that ever at any point come up from a professional team, whether it be in the NFL, the CFL, to potentially try out for that position?
Uh, Excuse me. The opportunity hasn't presented itself, but if it ever does, I'm ready for it. Like, I know it said I ran a 4.6 at my pro day, but I truly believe I'm a 4.5, 4.4 type of guy when I'm 100% healthy. So I know I still have like I always, just from my knowledge, I know playing running back at the pro level obviously is way different from playing it at the high school level. But at the end of the day, I'm a product of my coaching. So if I get coached up to play running back, I can play running back. I always love playing both ways. I just running back was actually what made me fall in love with football. He's just getting the ball, scoring touchdowns, making guys miss, trucking dudes, stiff arming. Like that's what made me fall in love with it. It was just fun to me. Playing running back. So, but the opportunity hasn't presented itself at the pro level. But if it does, trust me, I'll be more than happy to indulge in it.
Absolutely. So you end up signing with the Ottawa Redblacks, and you end up getting the call immediately in week one to start against Montreal. Walk me through how you mentally prepared yourself to have your first professional start right then, week one, as a rookie.
Dude, to be honest, when I got that call and they told me I was starting week one, I was like starstruck. I was like, because I remember we had just finished. We had preseason against Montreal, which is where I had my first pro tackle. It was in a preseason. I had a couple tackles, and then the next game in Toronto, I had a really big tackle on a screen pass against their running back, where I just literally just lit him up, and that was my because in the preseason we rotate linebackers. So I wasn't the starting linebacker. They had me playing the second half of the second quarter and all of the third quarter. So I remember the game was, pretty back and forth. And then the defensive coordinator, Coach Miles, great guy. He was a Hall of Famer. He was a CFL Hall of Famer. So Coach Miles, he right before my series to go in, he pulls me to the side. He goes, "Yo, you know this defense. I need you to go out there. I need you to take control. This is what we're gonna call. I believe we called milk, banana. Basically, the weak side linebacker is blitzing, and me being the Mike, I have man on a running back. He goes, "This is the call. I need you to go out there, echo it, get everybody lined up, make a play." So we get out there, make the call. We lined up. Um, the play starts. I got the running back. I see him step up. So if he steps up, I step up a little bit, and then he starts going out. So I'm like trailing with him a little bit. I take a glance at the quarterback. Once I saw the quarterback just turn his shoulder to the running back, something just clicked in my head. I said, "Fly!" And I literally just run past both the old linemen and just knock him back for a TFL as soon as he caught the ball. And I just get up and celebrate. And I was just balling from there. I probably had like 5 or 6 tackles that game, and I was just flying around. That's when I knew, like, all right, dude, you can play at this level. You know what I'm saying? Like, you belong here. And then, so I guess I think that was the performance that led. I knew I had a great performance, but I did not know they would have chosen me to start week 1. So when my linebackers coach, Coach Pat, he called me up. He goes, "Yeah, we're gonna go with you starting week 1." Dude, it was just like all this work I just put in since January, since my pro day, since the workout with the Giants, the Jets, the Chiefs. It just all just came together, and I'm like, man, to be starting as a rookie, week 1, dude, I'm honored, I'm blessed. You know what I'm saying? The job ain't done. You know what I'm saying? Like now I gotta build from this and keep, you know what I'm saying, keep getting better and keep going. But it was just such a huge honor, you know what I'm saying? Because we had talented linebackers in that room, you know what I'm saying? So for me to stand out the way I did and they chose me to start week 1, dude, I was blessed. I called my high school coach, Coach Thierry. I was like, yo, coach, you're not gonna believe this, man. They just told me I'm starting week 1. I'm like, coach, I'm about to go crazy. He's like, Chizi, that's phenomenal. Like, I'm so proud of you, man. Just look how everything works out. Like, look how far you came. And he just knows the right thing to say. Like, he's really like a big brother to me. So once I got that opportunity, man, we had a field day against Montreal. I believe we recorded 6 sacks. Our D line recorded 6 sacks, and that's because of the game plan going in. We knew how they like to run the ball to the 3 surface side to where the tight end was. So every time there was a 3-man surface, we had a spear check, which means our if it was close right, spear right, and I'm on the right side, the field is on the right side. Our Sam linebacker is blitzing off the edge. Blitzing off the edge, and if it was a closed left call, then the weak half is blitzing off the edge. So every time we recognized 3-man service, we made the check, and yeah, we were just having a field day against them. And then week 2 came. I started again against Calgary, and at the end of the day, that's when at the end of the game, that's when I suffered my very first ever shoulder injury, and I was just like, damn, that sucks. And yeah, but when I came back, Jovan Santos Knox, who was he's a 5-year vet. You know, he was starting at Mike, so I just played special teams going forward.
Absolutely. Which, I mean, to be fair, Javon, he was supposed to be the starter from day 1. He got injured. He missed, I believe, 11 weeks right until he came back, if I'm not mistaken, and then finally came back. So it's not that he was benched or anything for anybody watching.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Javon was definitely a veteran starter that was there to begin with, just
100%.
to be there. But
100%.
yeah, it definitely one of those situations where it had to be tough for you to adapt to that. You go from being the day 1 starter, you start in week 2, you get hurt, which, like you said, you haven't been hurt very much in your career throughout.
That especially not that early. Like never been hurt that early in my career. So
exactly. In fact, you mentioned the injury before with Central Connecticut. You didn't even miss any time, did you?
I didn't. Like I found out, I believe, like week 7 or 8 when I got the MRI that I had the tear, and the doctor gave me the option. He goes, you know, you could start rehabbing it now and we could get surgery, or you know, you could continue playing. I'm like, I mean, shoot, I feel like I got this injury since week 5 or 6 and I've been playing through it, so I might as well just finish the season and then get the surgery. So yeah, I didn't miss any playing time when I had gotten the injury at Central.
Gotcha. So basically your first injury ever missing playing time.
Yeah.
You end up having to, it happens while you're starting. You were getting your opportunity, so that's got to be tough. How difficult was it for you mindset-wise to go ahead and return, but not necessarily be the starter at that point?
Man, it was tough for me because literally after I get hurt, we had a bye week, so that gave me a week to, and when we got the MRI done right before the bye week, the doctor told me it was a 2 to 4 week injury. So when he said 2 to 4 weeks, my mindset is like, man, I'll be back within 3 weeks. But I didn't really know the severity of the injury. Like, say 2 to 4 weeks, if you were like working an office job and you know you just had to, because I was in a sling for the first week, and then I got out the sling and my shoulder was just stiff. It was just hard for me to move it. But I'm playing pro football. I'm going against 250-pound plus offensive players where I have to be able to punch, shock, and you know what I'm saying, it was essential. And I was kind of rushing myself to kind of get back because, you know, I just had the starting job. I didn't want to be forgotten. knowing the knowledge I know now, I probably would have took more time to really rehab, get 100% healthy before coming back on the field, because I try to come back early, I think after the 4-week mark. And I remember the head coach, Coach Dice, he pulled me to the office after I think like 2 days of practice. He showed me film of how I was moving, running, playing before the injury and how I'm playing now. And I literally just had like a dead arm, like pretty much just like running around. I'm taking on blocks with like one arm, trying to protect the shoulder because I knew it wasn't 100. And I was just kind of just forcing myself to kind of get back so I could play. But that wasn't really too smart on my part. But it was just me being young and just being competitive and just wanted to be on the field as much as possible. So I tried to come back early. I think it was against, not Hamilton. After Hamilton, we played Saskatchewan. So I think I was trying to come back for Saskatchewan. But Coach Dice, he was like, we're going to give you another week to recover. And then I ended up coming back against Toronto and playing special teams. So, it had to be a quick adjustment, because the last time I played special teams was really freshman and sophomore year of college. When I got to Central, I didn't play much special teams. Like, I literally had to argue with the special teams coordinator, like, yo, put me on kickoff at least. Like, like, you need me on kickoff. Like, let me run down and go hit dudes on kickoff at least. Like, so that was the most special teams I played at Central was kickoff. So to go from starting, and now I was literally on all 5. So I was on punt return, kickoff return, and field goal. Yeah, and field goal. So I was on literally all the special teams. I had to adjust, as I had to adjust, I had to adapt. At the end of the day, I'm saying, I'm a pro athlete. This is my job, so can't make excuses. You gotta perform. I'm saying, performance is the name of the game. But I know my specialty. Like, I'm a defensive middle linebacker. That's where I know my expertise is. But at the end of the day, you put me anywhere on the field, I'm gonna make plays and do my best. So yeah, I just had to adjust from there, honestly.
That's completely fair. That often happens in college, I feel. The stars don't get put in on special teams. And at smaller schools, it can kind of somewhat hurt your draft value, I feel, because the teams haven't seen you play as much special teams. They don't know that you're necessarily really good at that, which you happen to be. So we kind of already worked our way through the special teams question I was going to ask. So basically, you've played virtually every special teams unit there is to play.
Yep, pretty much.
Just for any coach that happens to be watching, not only did you find out he can play special teams, but he also gave you the blueprint on how to beat Montreal's run game. So what could you possibly want? So I'm curious, obviously, shortly after that game, the Redblacks choose to move on. They end up releasing you. Do you have any insight onto what caused this? Was this just the fact that they needed to move on in terms of the injury, or do you have any idea about that?
Yeah, I mean, I came into the work day and got pulled into the head coach's office, and it wasn't no love lost or anything against me. It was just a numbers thing. They had a number of guys on 6 game, a number of guys on practice roster, and he just said, Chizi, we hate to do this, but we're gonna have to release you. Nothing against your physical ability or your work ethic. It's just numbers type of thing. And I was like, hey, I appreciate my time here. And he said, if you need help getting on any other teams, just let us know, and we'll vouch for you. And that was that. It was no love lost. I appreciate my time with Ottawa Redblacks. I'm grateful for the opportunity. All I've learned made me a better player, helped me understand what it takes to be a pro athlete. And it just has me excited for what the next opportunity is.
Absolutely. So luckily for you, you came out in the season in which you have more options than ever before to play professional football. You've got the CFL, the XFL, the USFL, the NFL. Shoot, we got the European League of Football, the League of the LFA. We'll just say the LFA, the Mexican Football League. So with that being said, I mean, what teams, if you can tell us, have you heard from so far?
I'm just gonna keep that confidential as between my agents right now. We're still we're still figuring some stuff out, figuring out what's next. But that's between me and my agents right now. But for sure, there's some interest.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine. With that many leagues, you can't tell me that somebody didn't see what you're able to do and not want to bring you into their team.
Yeah.
I know if if I had any sort of authority on any sort of roster, I would be definitely giving you a call to try and get you to come to my team for sure. So
Thank you, man.
just keep your phone open because that might happen soon. We don't know.
Yes, sir.
So I know off camera, this is when the big question comes that I have to ask everybody. But you mentioned you didn't really think that indoor arena football was necessarily for you. But I have to ask, I mean, if a coach were to call you up and make a pitch, would you hear him out, or is it simply something that you're just gonna pass on right
I would definitely hear him out. I'll talk to my agent. See how they feel about it. I trust my agency. I trust those guys who put in the work to get my name out there. So if they think that's the best opportunity for me, it's kind of like how it happened with when I was at the Chiefs, and then boom, I had to go up to Canada. My agent, he called me. He said, "Hey, this is an opportunity. This is where we think you have a chance to make this team and start your career there." And I trust them, so that's just what it is. I just have to talk to my agents and just see how they feel about it.
now? Absolutely. If you don't mind answering this question, who are you represented by?
Joe Linta and Nicholas Linta. Joe Linta, he's based in Connecticut. He was famously known for signing, what's his name? The Ravens quarterback at the time. I believe it was Joe Flacco, when he signed the highest paid quarterback deal for $105 million, that I think back in 2010. So yeah, their agency. Yeah, so right now I'm home back in the Bronx, New York. I'm just working out, every day, focusing on my nutrition, making sure I'm still rehabbing my shoulder, make sure I get to it's 95 right now. I'm trying to get to 100, 110. After I had gotten released, my agent, he asked me, he said, "So like, where are you health wise?" I said, "Hey coach, I'm good." He said, "So if a team was to pick you up right now, you'd be good and ready to play?" I said, 100%. So I'm good to go right now. Just maintaining, eating healthy, working out, staying in shape, and just preparing for the next opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with that being said, I'm kind of running out of questions here, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to go ahead and shout out anybody you want. And also, do you have any merch available for sale anywhere?
Yeah, definitely shout out DT, DT community. You can see in the back. That's my the trainers I train with. They're based in Connecticut, Diligence Training. They definitely have merch. I'll send you the link after we get off here. But that's who I'm partnered with, and they sponsored me. So they're a great group of guys. So yeah, shout out Diligence Training.
Absolutely. And then for fans that would like to follow you, where are you at on social media?
So you can follow me on Instagram, Chizi_Chiz, CHIZZY_Chiz, and then my Twitter handle is Chiz2017, at Chiz2017.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you sitting here for a little over an hour and talking to me about your career. I mean, learned a lot about you in this time researching you, and I definitely think that you're bound for success. I'm not just saying that. Between the film, what you can do off the field in terms of workouts, there's going to be another team that's going to call you, and it's going to be very soon. I have no doubt. So I wish you the best of luck in the rest of your career. I hope you have a long and healthy career for the rest of it. So
Thank you.
once again, keep in touch. Would love to have you back on in the future.
Thank you, man. I appreciate this opportunity.
All right, today I'm joined by running back Shane Simpson. Simpson spent some time with Towson and Virginia in college before spending time with NFL, CFL, and XFL teams before ultimately playing with Quad City Steamwheelers in 2023. Now he joins us to discuss his journey. Shane, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, man. Can't complain. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. It's been a long time coming. We've been kind of been talking behind the scenes here and there for a while. So I'm glad to finally get you on and learn some more about your career as well.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I wanted to start with your college career because I got to be quite honest. I don't think as many people as should realize how impressive your career at Towson was. I mean, you were putting up some unbelievable numbers while you were there. What led to ultimately, or what led you to Towson after a senior year in high school where you rushed for 2,100 yards and 41 touchdowns?
Yeah, so I wouldn't even say I was a late bloomer because I started as a true freshman at a powerhouse high school. Just got under recruited. It happens. It happens every now and then. Like I would look at stories like Khalil Mack. He only had 2 offers come out of high school. And I ultimately chose Buffalo, and then obviously he turned out to be number 2 overall, or number 3, one of those, top 5 in the NFL draft. But ultimately, it came down to and JMU, Towson, Akron, and Old Dominion. Those are my top 4 coming out. And I knew I didn't want to go JUCO. I knew I could have went higher FBS or anything like that. I knew I could have did that, but something gravitated me towards Towson. Just the family atmosphere. They brought me in. I went on my official visit, loved it. I went on a few other visits as well, and they kept in contact with me the whole time. And that's all I could ask for. And then the one thing that stood out to me the most out of all the visits that I did take was that Coach Ambrose and Coach Jared Ambrose came to my house and said, "You can leave your legacy here. We're gonna provide you everything you need to be successful, but ultimately it's up to you to make that work." And that stuck with me the whole time. So I'm glad I went to Towson, proud alum, and from my career, you can definitely tell that I definitely got everything out of it.
I would completely agree, and I think they obviously had a clear-cut plan for you from day one when they brought you in. They knew the role that you were going to fit with their team because even as a freshman, you were contributing right away before an injury. What was it about their scheme at Towson that seemed to fit you so well as a player?
I think when my versatility came into play, because I played starting off in high school. My freshman year. I started as a receiver and returner, but I was also my natural position is running back and returning. But obviously, they just want to get me on the field in high school, so I played receiver. And then I went back to running back my sophomore year, and that was kind of the case in college as well. They knew I could pick up the scheme real fast at running back, but they wanted me to learn the whole entire offense. So that's why I started out at receiver when I first got there, and then transitioned back to running back. But to answer your question, throughout my whole time there, I played in so many offenses there. Like when I first got there, it was more power scheme, pro style offense, I formation, and stuff like that. And then me going in, I was probably a $180, $185 my freshman year. So I was a little light per se going in. And then we switched up to a spread pro style offense, but still kept that power scheme in there as well. So I got used to all different types of offenses, and they used me in the power scheme, inside zone, outside zone, get me in screens, allow me to line up in the slot or outside, create mismatches for not only myself but my teammates. So I think we did a great job just scheme wise of helping not only myself but the team.
Yeah, I would completely agree. You affected the team in several different ways as a receiver, a runner, return man, and the kicking game and the punt game. So definitely made a lasting impact on the school, it seems like.
Yeah.
So during your freshman season, you ultimately, unfortunately, wind up injured, and you're forced to miss a significant amount of the season. Obviously, this is probably the toughest part of the game for most athletes. Um, how did you keep yourself motivated to push through rehab and realistically come back better than before because your next season was unbelievable?
Yeah, great question. Like adversity and injury is definitely part of the game. Everybody hates it, but it's part of the game. Just some things you can't control. And the injury that I had in high school, I broke my fibula, misplaced my tibia in my sophomore year of high school, and we'll probably hit on the other injuries as well. But that injury right there was probably the most painful one out of all the injuries that I had, and it was the first time I was actually injured. So it allowed me to grow up faster because I was 15 at the time, I want to say, and I had to go through so much pain. I had to relearn how to walk. Um, that was a whole, I want to say, a year process. So that definitely taught me that more patience, um, time without the game, like who am I without football, and just overcoming stuff and control what I can control at that point. And then to hit on my freshman year in college, I had that injury in my senior year of high school, but I just played throughout my whole senior year. Got my left shoulder done in January of my senior year after the All American game, and then in college we talked about it with my coaches. I'm like, I don't know how long it's gonna hold up, but I'll go as long as I can. And then that was kind of like the first year they had the you can play in 4 games, then red shirt. So that was mainly our key to play me in 4 games, get the experience, get that under my belt, and then get the surgery there. But obviously, you're not trying to as a competitor, you're trying to play. But they knew it was beneficial for both sides that I get the surgery now, and then I have that experience, and then can play next year.
Absolutely. It looks like it worked out to the benefit of both parties on that case too, because in your sophomore season, you come back, you end up being the starting running back, you rush for 784 yards, you added over 1,000 yards in the return game and another touchdown. All the while, you're averaging over 5.5 yards per rush, and you nearly touched that 2,000 all-purpose yard mark. So, I mean, talk to me about the season, how it progressed, how you finished so strong, and how it felt after the injury as a freshman.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely hard sitting out. Like I mentioned, as a competitor, you definitely want to be out there with your team. And then obviously I have individual goals as well, so I want to hit everything that I set for myself. Obviously, I couldn't do that due to the injury, but I had a redemption year in my sophomore year, and I wanted to get everything that I missed back in 2015 and 2016 and double it. And I think I did a great job of that. Credit my teammates as well because obviously I can't do it all by myself. I have a QB handing me the ball. I have linemen, receivers blocking. I have a whole return team to do their job too. So I don't want to take all the credit for that. So I got to thank them for it always. But to hit on the rushing yards that I wanted, return yards, I think I was number one and number two in the country in return yards that year. So to come back from that and get all the All Americans, Rookie of the Year, National Rookie of the Year, stuff like that. So it's a big blessing for me. So I can't thank nothing but God for that.
Absolutely. We'll get to your list of awards that's about a mile long here shortly. In 2017, you were forced to miss some more time. What injury were you dealing with at this point? And talk to us about the emotional roller coaster ride you kind of been on at this point.
Man, injuries, man, hate them. But I came into the season. Probably this was the heaviest I've been. I was about 202, 203 going into camp. So I felt really good, strong, primed for another really good year. And then I actually um, partially tore my knee, my left knee. I did a PCL, nothing else, but I never really did anything to my knee ever before. So it was kind of like a shock to me when I did it, because I actually did it in practice before the game, and I was kind of telling I was like I was hinting that something was wrong with my leg because I really couldn't bend down on that side. But um, you know me, I just sucked it up and just took some medicine, make sure I was good to play the game. Then in the game, going doing my thing, getting 10 yards, 12 yards, 15 yards a pop, like get in the groove, and then I'm pass blocking on one play at St. Francis, and QB gets strip sacked, and I'm trying to run for the ball, and all of a sudden my leg just gives out, and it's kind of scared me in the moment because I'm just like I really can't get up right now, and I walk off the field, and then they tell me, yeah, like you're gonna miss some time with you have a torn ligament in your knee. So I never did anything to my knee, so I'm crying. So I don't know how much time I'm gonna miss, if I had to get surgery. So all this is playing in my head. So that messed me up a lot mentally that year. Then I was able to come back a little later in the season, but mentally I still wasn't there, and it was frustrating for me um, that I was getting tackled by one person. I couldn't break away how I wanted to. I'm getting tackled easy, so everything was just like eating me up inside, and it's kind of hard to explain that as well. So then, like, even to hit on this is probably off topic, but this was like my first thing of like mental health, and I just didn't know how to talk about it with anybody, and I actually told my head coach at the end of the season that I needed to go see somebody, and I told my parents once I could actually talk about it. I was like, yeah, I think I need to go see somebody to clear my head, and then after that, I was good though.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with taking care of your health mentally as well. I mean, we always talk about rehab in terms of, physical rehab, but mental rehab's important as well. And we're in a time and day finally where it's not frowned upon anymore to go out and seek that help. It's better to get the help when you need it.
Definitely.
So in 2018, you had your real breakout season. On offense alone, you had another 1,000-yard season. You had a career high in punt return yardage. Sorry about that, with 156 yards, and another 886 yards in kick returns. You scored 12 times, and you topped that 2,000 all-purpose yard mark. I mean, what an amazing season overall. But one thing I noticed about this season is you saw a much bigger role in the passing game as a receiver, and even scored 5 times on through the air. Why was there such a sudden change to your involvement with in the passing game?
I think that was a credit to the offensive change, and that's when Tom Flacco came in 2018. So it took a lot of pressure off me in the run game. So they had to play me and him, and then that also opened up the passing game as well. So we actually truly had a QB for the first time in a while, and there was a big emphasis of me getting out in the passing game or contributing more in the passing game. So I think I know I had over 30 receptions that year, um, and it paid dividends because I'm getting wheel routes, swing routes, screens, corners out the backfield, seam routes, just showing the whole package that I can do: run, block, catch out the backfield, line up in the slot, return, play special teams, whatever the case may be. I wanted to show after the injury year that I had in 2017 that I was truly back and way better than I was before, and that's what I set out to do. And I was mad. I was the only person I still remember to this day. I was behind Jonathan Taylor in all-purpose yards, and I was mad that I didn't beat him that year.
Hey, you can't win them all, but that was what an amazing season overall. And you kind of touched on this before. You've been asked to play a slot receiver at points in time. Would that be something you'd entertain if an offer came strictly for slot receiver?
Oh, I'm all for it. Obviously, it's a newer position for me, but I've played it all the time in the past. I played it in high school. I played it in college, even in the pros now. I've played it. So just fine tuning this stuff at receiver would definitely be key for me. but I'm all for it. NFL, CFL, XFL, wherever they need to play me at, I'm good.
I love that mentality. So unfortunately, your final year at Towson was cut to just 3 games, but in these games, you looked more explosive than ever, quite honestly. Had you changed your training routine in the previous offseason to get to this point?
Yes, I actually did. I was running a little bit more, and I was a little lighter in a sense. Because I want to say 2018, I was about 205 ish at beginning of the season. Then I would play at like 203 to 200 range. Then I'm like, you know what, it's time to kick this up a notch. Because I was about to go into the 2019 draft after that season, but I was like, I'm hungry. I want to get my draft stock down. I want to win a championship. Those are my two things that I want to check off. So I know speed is the name of the game, and that's the one thing I wanted to even increase more. So I dropped weight. I came into camp around 202, but I played at between 198 to 200. So that's where I felt so much more explosive, quicker, faster, stronger than I was even when I was at 205. And as on tape, you can see that initial gear change with the cuts and even the long speed.
Fair enough. That makes perfect sense. So you end up leaving Towson with 4,779 total yards and 21 touchdowns, and a list of awards that I mentioned before is about a mile long. Was there any accolade you received during your time at Towson that sticks out to you as an individual?
Um, that's a lot. There's a lot of awards. I wouldn't say there's just one, but I'll probably say in 2018 uh when I touched every position that I played at, I got an award at. That was at first team running back, second team return, third team, kind of like all purpose with receiver and punt return. And then I also was able to get special teams player of the year in the conference as well, and then all the All Americans awards. But I'll definitely say probably the in conference ones were huge for me. Just credits what I did in the off season that year that I was able to do all that.
Absolutely. And just real quick, so the audience has an idea. I mean, we're talking 2016 All CAA first team, 2016 CAA Offensive Rookie of the Year, 2016 ECAC Offensive Rookie of the Year, Hero Sports first team freshman All American, third team All American for stats, 2017 preseason All CAA kick returner. I mean, it just goes on and on and on, especially in that 2018 season where it's literally 6 or 7 different awards there. Just insane to look at, quite honestly. But the NCAA ends up granting you a 6 year of eligibility, which ended up being the 2020 season, obviously during that COVID year. You ended up attending Virginia. What led you to Virginia and to finish out your career? And do you believe this helped your draft stock being at a larger school?
Yeah, I obviously it's a kid's dream to play Power Five football, and I knew I could have did it out of college, but God just had said not right now. So when I had the opportunity came apart when the 2020 season in the CAA got canceled, I was just like, I'm coming off major knee surgery. I want to show the league that I'm still that guy. And the only guys that was playing were FBS teams. So I'm like, let me go bet on myself. Even though I just got hurt, I'm coming back from injury. We're gonna see what happens. And then this is when the whole portal stuff started really jumping or being a commodity, a hot commodity. And put my name in on a Tuesday. I remember like it was yesterday. They said I'll be in at like 2:30 p.m. And then I look at 2:30. By 2:32, I got my first offer, and it was like I had teams like I think Western Kentucky was my first one. Then I had Virginia, I had Texas, I had Penn State, Northwestern, Florida State, damn near the whole ACC, Mississippi State, SEC schools, Big Ten schools. ACC schools, none out west, but more so on this side. But I had a whole boatload, and I was very thankful. Then ultimately, I brought it down to UVA in Texas. I just felt like those two were uh, for me. And then I truly didn't know which one I was going to choose when I had to choose because I was already late to camp just because of my decision. So I actually picked. I told my parents, I'm like, yo, I don't know which one I want to go to because like both of them are offering damn near the same stuff, and I can't go wrong with either or. Especially if I'm looking past college, from a from a network standpoint, from Texas and then Virginia. So I can't go wrong with that. And then I actually picked out. I wrote down Virginia 3 times, and I wrote down Texas 3 times. Put it in the hat, and I just picked like that. And I picked Virginia 3 times in a row. So I'm like, God, I don't know. Whenever I'm gonna pick something out of the hat again, or pick something, I'm gonna pick it out of the hat and pick it 3 times in a row. So I'm like, this must be my sign. So that's when I went to Virginia, and then ultimately I was like, yeah, I think I know it's gonna help me with my draft stock even more because back in 2019, before the injury happened, I was slated to be a third round, fourth round, mid round pick, third to fourth round. Um, and all I had to do was finish out the season, but obviously knee went out, so had to come back. Then get to Virginia. I'm on the Senior Bowl top 250 again. So I'm like, all I gotta do is finish out the season, do what I gotta do, and get where I want to be at. Then that answers the question. Before I keep talking,
For the record, man, you feel free to talk as long as you want. This is your time. I mean, that's kind of the purpose. So as detailed as you want to get, you feel free. It's not going to
okay.
hurt my feelings at all. But go ahead and move on to the next question. You head into the NFL draft after putting up 22 reps in the bench press and a 37-inch vertical at Virginia's Pro Day. I mean, what were you hearing about your draft stock at this time? You said at one point, third or fourth round. What were you hearing at that point?
At that point, more injury concerns. Just making sure I was good. Obviously, was a little heavier just because due to my knee. Um, but I showed that I had the explosion back doing 37. Then obviously I was more than capable of. I was in the weight room doing 22 on the bench, which was I think top 5 in the position for both of those categories. And then I was hearing from late round to priority free agent, which I knew was going to happen just off of my injury history at that point. Um, then after my pro day, Washington really loved me, and I was talking to them. They actually made a deal to me and my agent right after it, but we didn't take it. To this day, I'm like, I don't know why we didn't, but he was like, "Yeah, they doing this right now. There's plenty of teams that's gonna do the same." So I'm like, "No, I'm gonna bet on myself. We're gonna do it. I'm listening to you because you've been in the business longer than me. We're just gonna rock out." Then um, draft coming along, hearing from a bunch of teams. Um, Long story short, I talked to 29 out of the 32 teams. So I'm feeling real good about everything. I'm training down in Florida until the draft is done. Well, till the draft comes, then I go to North Carolina to be with my family. And draft passes along. Don't really hear much, but then Washington calls and says we're gonna bring you in, and I'm like, bet this my time to shine. Like that's all I needed to need the door open. So getting ready to go down there, and I get sick. I get COVID, and so I'm kind of like devastated. I'm like I'm doing everything possible to not be around people. I'm around the same 2 to 3 people, my trainer, and 2 people that's usually in there when I'm in there, and they didn't get sick. Somehow I got it, and I'm thinking it's like a false positive or something like that. I take it again. I'm still sick, and I was really sick for a while, for like at least a month and some change, really, because I couldn't even get my breathing back like how I wanted to. I lost my smell for about 8 months, which I wasn't complaining about because I had to smell a lot of bad stuff. But it was just a process, just like, oh, why right now, kind of thing. But I was like, um, God doesn't make wrong decisions and stuff like that. Like he's doing this not on purpose, but he knows I can handle it. Um, and then camp comes around, still my my coach, well, not my coach, my agent's like, yeah, you should we should be in camp. I'm like, as I should, because I'm like, I don't know if there was another player in the draft that had as many yards as me. Besides, I think maybe Najee Harris probably had more yards than me. Other than that, I don't. And I was looking at everybody else's. I'm like, um, my numbers speak for themselves. But um, that didn't. Fortunately, then I missed the whole 2021 season, and then go up to Canada in 22.
Absolutely. So you end up signing with Winnipeg, right?
Yeah, I signed with Winnipeg, and then after final cuts, I went to Montreal.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that you had been with Montreal.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of curious. This is going to skip forward a little bit, but in the 2023 season, you're selected by the XFL's DC Defenders, one of the best teams in the XFL. You were signed by Winnipeg, one of the best teams in the CFL. I mean, to me, this is kind of like a signified of where you stand in terms of talent level. I mean, you're going to the best teams. Was it a situation where you had a choice with the CFL and you chose Winnipeg, or was it they offered you first, you went there?
Um, I actually had a workout with the BC Lions first, and I pulled my hamstring really bad, and I couldn't really finish. I couldn't do any one-on-ones or anything like that, and that's pretty much football, and I need to do that. And the GM was like, I wish you could have finished out the day, but obviously I understand your hamstring. It's very hard to be explosive like the guy you are without it. So kind of heartbroken in a way. I'm just like, man, I was busting my butt all off season to get to this point, and this happens. And then Winnipeg calls me, says, "Can you be down in Texas in 2 weeks?" Then I'm not even thinking about the hamstring. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. We gonna rock out. So tell my agent like, yo, they just called. I'm gonna be have to be down to Texas in 2 weeks, and then I'm just like, I don't know if I can run this 40 or do any like other drills in that manner, just because I want to get to the one-on-ones, I want to get to all the football stuff without overdoing it. He was like, yeah, just let them know prior so they're not sidetracked from you not doing the drills. So I did that, went down there. I put a whole bunch of Tiger Balm on my body, on my leg, which is like icy hot for the people that don't know what Tiger Balm is. And so long story short, I was able to get through the whole day, didn't lose a one-on-one, caught every kick return, caught every punt return, making guys miss. And I'm starting to get a little limp in there now because it's starting to wear off. But then they tell me to just chill out. Then thankfully, whatever I did that whole day, they called me right before I boarded my plane the next day. Say, yeah, like your legs gonna be good for camp. I'm like, if I could do this in 2 weeks, I think I can do it in another 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks when I gotta be up there. So I'm good. Um, and then I signed with Winnipeg, of course. Then it's just trying to hold this hamstring all together throughout the time. I'm doing everything possible. I'm doing treatment. Before I go out there, I'm doing treatment up there. Um, getting my water intake, eating the proper food, making sure I'm doing everything possible to get there. Then there's one practice. They told me about Winnipeg and the weather, so I brought all my warm stuff, heavy hoodies, sweatpants, long sleeves, everything you can think of, and even in the summer months. So I'm up there from April to June. It's the end of May. I think our last practice before we have preseason games, and I'm balling this practice. I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to make this team. I scored 2 times back to back. Then on my last rep, I break out a long run. I'm probably say this is the sideline. I'm right here. I'm trying to step out of bounds. My hamstring, I feel it. I'm just like, no way. And then miss like 6, 7 practices right there. And I'm thinking I'm about to get cut because I've seen guys get cut as soon as they hurt themselves and they can't practice and they haven't made any plays, they're gone. And I say the CFL is way more cutthroat than the NFL. Um, but then I was able to come back when we played Saskatchewan, and I'm on literally I'm on kickoff, I'm on punt return, doing running back stuff, the whole nine. And I got my hamstring wrapped up, doing everything possible, have it heated, doing well, but I still don't have that power or that explosion that I usually would have without it. So I made a real good cut run, and I felt it on that run. It was like a 15-yard gain. We was backed up on the 1 yard line and had to get us out there. And I'm just like, shit, this thing is painful, but can't show it really. I'm just trying to make sure I get through this game as best as I can. And I'm in a lot of pain. I'm telling that like all my guys, I'm just like, please just if you can just pick me up after a play or anything like that, because I'm in a lot of pain. And then towards the fourth quarter of that game, I they tried to put me on kickoff return. Then that's where everything wore off, like the medicine and Tiger Balm. So I'm just like I can barely walk at this point. So I'm like I'm like can't do it. Then flight back. Then you know how it is. Final cuts get cut due to injury, which they can do that out there. There's no injury settlement for people that don't know about the CFL. But I talked to the GM and the head coach at the same time. They was like, we really don't want to get rid of you, but we just don't know how long your hamstring will hold up or when it will be fully healthy, which I totally understood. It's a business. Sucks, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Then going back home to Jersey. As soon as I touch down in Jersey, Montreal calls me and says, "Yeah, we're gonna bring you up here. We just want to know why would Winnipeg cut you?" Then I just had to be honest with them about the injury and Canadian ratio. I said that, and then they was like, "Okay, but we're gonna bring you up um, later this week." So I go up there to Montreal, doing my thing, but still thinking about this hamstring because I'm not 100% at all. I don't even think I was 70%. But I'm just fighting at this point because this is my job. Then ultimately that didn't work out because I'm still not healthy. Come back to the States, then just wait for the XFL. Then I get drafted to the XFL.
Absolutely. So, like you just said, you end up getting drafted the DC Defenders, Reggie Barlow and Von Hutchins crew. So I'm kind of curious. Obviously, I just touched on it a little bit. You keep ending up on the better teams in these leagues, these alternative football leagues. Um, do you look back at all and wonder if things might have been different? Say if you ended up with Ottawa, that's been a 3-win team, repeatedly, or Vegas that struggled this year with the run game.
Um, yeah and no, just because I can't control that part of the game. I can't control who picks me up or anything like that. All I ask is just opportunity. That's it. Then I got to do my best part in making sure they know that I'm here to stay. And so whether it's that Vegas, Ottawa, Edmonton, um, shoot, any other team in the XFL, they're gonna get it. They're gonna get a dog because I'm gonna play running back. I'm gonna play receiver. I have a very high IQ, so I can play all those positions and play special teams. Not only just as a return man, but kickoff, punt, whatever you need me to do, I'm going to be able to do and willingly to do to help not only myself but the team.
That's a pretty great answer. I was going to ask you about your availability on kickoff and punt coverage, but it seems like you just answered that question. That's totally something you're willing to do.
Oh yeah, definitely. Cause it's part of the game, and then I know once I get back into the NFL, that I'm not going to just be a running back or just be a return specialist. I'm going to have to play those alternatives. I'm going to have to be on kickoff return, even if it's not returning, blocking, punt, getting down there and make a tackle, punt return, even if it's not returning, block for the returner. At the end of the day, those are jobs too, and those jobs are very crucial. And then the best thing I heard from everybody, the more you can do, the more you can do.
100%. That's typically how guys get on teams. You know, the more you can do, specifically on special teams, makes you incredibly valuable on game day. So, anyway, you end up in the IFL in 2023 with the Quad City Steamwheelers, again, one of the better teams in the league that you ended up playing in. And I don't want to say that you looked like a man amongst boys because that's kind of disrespectful to the rest of the guys you were playing against, but you finished with 12th in average yards per game with 54 carries for 370 yards or 6.9 yards per carry. Just unbelievable numbers. And then you also added another 32 receptions for 336 yards and two more touchdowns, while also averaging 20.9 yards per kick return on a 50-yard field. So it often, like I said, looked like you were the best player on the game or on the field in any game that you played. Since then, have you heard from any XFL, USFL, or CFL teams since they got to see you stay healthy and perform like that?
Yeah, definitely. Like even to hit on before I hit on Quad City, right when I got released from XFL, Quad City actually called me when when I was at the Super Bowl. Said that yeah, we got your draft rights. We drafted you, and if you want to come, you're more than welcome to. And I said, I thank you for the opportunity, but I have some CFL obligations to do in March. So as long as I can do that, then if nothing comes about it, I'll and the opportunity still presents itself, I'll definitely come. So I did my CFL due diligence in March. It was just kind of talking. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm tired of just doing all this waiting game. I have a team that wants me right now. Let me go make the best opportunity. Let me go make something for myself instead of waiting around for an opportunity to present itself. I actually called. That he actually texted me before I even called him. So I'm just like, God must have been listening. And I'm just like, what are the odds that he's texting me as I'm about to call him? He's like, you ready? I'm like, yeah, I'm there. He texted me on a Saturday. I was like, when you need me there? He said, just latest Wednesday. I said, I'll be there Monday. I said, and I'm from Jersey to Malloy, Illinois, Davenport, Iowa, that range where Quad City's at. It's a 14-hour drive, like 14, 15, like 14 and a half hour drive. So I did that. Don't get me wrong, I was tired. I was tired as hell. But I knew to take that leap of faith was definitely needed in my career. And then once I got there, obviously it's a totally different game than being outside. Smaller field, width wise and length, different rules. So I had to play that part, and then obviously the field is different as well. I had to wear turf shoes instead of regular cleats. And I want to say, um, even though like my first game I did score 2 touchdowns, but I still wasn't um, used to the game. But I want to say two after the 2 or 3 games, 'cause I think my first 100-yard game came after in my third game of the season. Well, third game for me, I should say. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm good now. Then once I got used to the motion and all that, and then after that, that's when I really wanted to show that uh, I want to kill everything. I want from rushing, blocking, receiving, because I lined up in the slot or even outside at times as well in return. So I wanted to make sure that they know I would kill it at everything that I did in the league.
100%. And I would say you achieved that in all facets of the game. It was an impressive performance for sure. I mean, almost, I want to say a little over 700 yards in only 9 games, was it? So
It was 8 regular season, then 1 playoff game, and then what's it called? Um, then you hit on the other teams hit me up after the season. So I talked to about 5 to 6 XFL teams, even like DC again. So I talked to them again. USFL, I talked to I think 4 of the teams over there. CFL, I talked to a couple teams as well. They're still in season, so that's always a possibility to go back up there. Or and I've been talking to teams in Europe as well in the ELF, which is for people that don't know, that used to be called NFL Europe, so they just rebranded the name.
yeah, more or less. Which teams have you been talking to in the ELF, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't get me wrong, I forget all their names, but it was this team Surge. I don't know what the first name is.
Stuttgart.
Yep, I talked to them. Uh, Vienna Vikings, Hamburg Sea Devils, um, Rainfire, Barcelona, and I can't remember the other one offhand.
So for those of you guys that don't know at home, once again, basically the top teams in the leagues. Ryan Fire just won the championship literally today as we're recording this, and Stuttgart Surge played them. Vienna lost last weekend in the playoffs, and I want to say Barcelona and Hamburg weren't in it as well. But I'm sure if they weren't, Michael Washington will correct me in the comments. But definitely encouraged to hear that. I mean, you in my personal opinion belong outdoors. You can do more of what you're capable of doing outdoors, in my personal opinion. So hopefully you end up over there, and that kind of answers one of my questions. But one thing I didn't touch on earlier when we were discussing your college career is the fact that you've actually already kind of dipped a toe in the coaching world. It looks like you served with Towson as a member of the coaching staff overseeing special teams and running backs, if I'm not mistaken. What was that like, and is that something that you plan to continue pursuing in your off season?
Yeah, so once I came back home from Montreal at the time, I hit my old head coach up. I'm like, they don't want to get into coaching or just even be around the game while I wait for another opportunity. He was like, shoot, you more than welcome to come down. And then I was like, so I packed my stuff, moved back down to Maryland, joined the coaching staff, and it felt great to be back home, but also weird in the sense just because I played with a few on the team, uh, probably for 1 year, or I don't think 2 years. There's only probably one person on the team that I played with like 3 or 4 years. That means that he's old too. So, but it was definitely good to see the guys now again, but from the other side. And then I wouldn't even tell them to call me coach or anything like that. I just want, like, if they wanted to call me coach, that's fine. Especially like the new guys, they would call me coach and stuff. Um, but for for the guys that knew me, I'm just your big brother, your mentor, whatever you guys need me for. Football wise, we can watch extra film, we can work out together, or if we need to talk about some life stuff. I'm damn near the same age as you guys, so I can relate to a lot more stuff than the other coaches. So I just want to be a big mentor and a big brother to them in any facet of the way. And a lot of stuff goes into coaching that a lot of people don't know. Just because, like, yeah, I was a captain for 100 players on the team, but as a coach, you gotta look after them from a mental health standpoint, make sure they're good. How do they learn? Are they gonna ask a lot of questions? Are they a person that looks at it once and knows what defense is doing or what we're asking them to do? It's just stuff like little stuff like that you wouldn't truly know unless you were in the field.
That makes perfect sense. So I got to ask, is coaching something you look to pursue after your playing career is over?
I think so. I think I definitely want to be around the game. If it's not coaching or just even doing like personal training, just being that mentor, big brother kind of, just giving back information that if I didn't know at the time, they'll know it way before then. Just because I know coaching is coaching and like football taught me like everything's not about me. There's so much more in life lessons that you learn from the game, and then for me to help somebody in that facet to get where they want to be or get where I've been or where I'm still at. If I can be that blessing, I'm all for it. If that's what God wants for me, I'm all for it as well.
Absolutely. So to be completely honest, I'm out of questions. Before we get out of here, is there anybody you want to shout out? And then also, if you could, let us know where your agency lies, so we can go ahead and have coaches hit you up. Hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, big shout out to my family, close friends, all the supporters, the places that I've been at. Shout out to God, of course, as well. Without him, I wouldn't be playing right now. So none of that is possible without him. But to my friends and family, I thank you so much for pushing me and keeping me motivated. Just because obviously this journey can definitely be lonely, but at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be. You have people around you um, that care about you and want to see you succeed and do what you love. So definitely appreciate you guys. Love you guys. And then I'm signed with Agency One. Shout out my boy Drew Rigsby, my guy, based out of Florida, but he's in Vegas. So yeah, that's who I'm signed with.
Very nice. Well, thank you, Shane. I really appreciate your time today. It was a pleasure learning more about your career. I wish you nothing but luck going forward, no matter where you end up. And definitely looking forward to seeing where you sign for the 2024 season.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer.